We're good.
We're ready? Okay. Motion to open the meeting?
A second?
Trustee Cove,
Aye.
trustee Landfair,
Aye.
trustee Lightgib, trustee Marshall, Mayor Plummer.
Aye.
Motion passes.
This actually is a workshop. It's not a meeting really with an agenda other than gathering members of our community, either online or on site here at the Canal Path on Shade Place. Right now, we're located adjacent to where the Sam Patch docks. And the purpose of this sort of workshop or just communicating with our community here is to talk about next steps. The village received a $300,000 grant a couple of years ago to take care of the canal path along here in this section between where the Sam Patch docks all the way down to the fuel dock. Just a portion of the path. Many of you know the path has been eroding. For those of you watching online or who will be watching the video, we're giving it our best shot. We're not sure if we can capture everything for you because we are on site and there's obviously, background noise. So really today is about sort of kicking things off, sharing what was turned in terms of a conceptual design to the state to receive the grant funding. We do have, where's John? John Reddington is from Fisher Trowbridge. Their firm did the filing of the grant and put together in a very timely manner a conceptual design. And so, John, maybe if we could kick off maybe with sort of parts of the design in terms of what the concept was. The concept, just to be clear of the design, is just to kind of get things rolling, to get the money into the village. And then here's our next step, where we talk about it, work together, we try to come up with sort of a great finalized plan for everybody. So, John, would you like to?
Sure.
Talk about a few things? Come on, camera, please. I know.
My name is John Reddington. I'm a landscape architect with the Fisher Associates. As the Mayor mentioned, we worked with the board of trustees back in 2022 to file a CFA application. We were successful with securing a portion of that application, so 300,000 came available to the village for projects such as this. Some of the documents were available online. That's anything that you see up on the board is from that document. Basically, we looked at both the corridor stretching from the crossing, kind of coming east from the building there up to the filling station down that concrete bulkhead there. So things we looked at was pedestrian safety, accessibility, how can we improve the crossing from the parking into the area where Sam Patch originates, giving a more generous roof fare, as we see here. Some of that path is deteriorated, so it probably went from like an 8-foot wide path, what we see now, which is about 6. So some of the improvements we suggested were stabilize that edge, provide more room for not only people walking their dog, but also that want to spend some time congregating, meeting with friends and things like that. So those, visuals, the renderings, all that was part of the packet that was available through the calendar that I saw. I've made some enlargements of those plans, which are available. Any questions you might have on those or any of the details that you have.
And, so part of what we can even see here right now is this is a fairly dense section of the path in terms of usage, because we have the Sam Patch docking here, people getting on, getting off. Patrick is here.
Right
There
here.
you are. Yes, we have the executive director of Cornell Navigation with us today. You've received a grant as well.
Yep, we have a grant for accessibility and we're working on, trying to figure out how we can make the most of that to work with the plans that the village is doing to accommodate as many people as possible in the Pittsburgh waterfront.
Yeah, so it's kind of an opportune time because they have a grant, we have a grant, and they're members of our community, big part of our community down here. So again, it's a densely used area. Even the geese use it, as we know, because they're fed down here. And the ducks, people getting on and off of the Sam Patch, as I said, we have obviously, cafes and, all kinds of restaurants and things in this area. So people are really coming and going. And, we maybe want to, take a look. We can even start taking a look at some of the pictures down here. I don't know, everybody had a chance to see the design? I can hand this out. This is just a print out of some of the portions of what was submitted. I'm just gonna pass this around.
How about the partition or swim lane kind of for bike versus pedestrian versus traffic? Is that comprehended here, or are we just talking about the walk?
Well, there is the widening of the path. I don't know that we can necessarily create a bike lane. I mean, as you know, there's issues with biking through here. I know everybody can speak to that, and we have the signs, walk your bike. Oh, there's a sign right there saying walk your bike, and they bike right over it. Yeah.
Just a reminder, any questions or comments to hopefully
Oh,
get a
yeah.
name or address.
If you have a question or comment, if you could come up in front of the little teeny tiny camera. Sorry,
I got yours, don't worry.
but you did get it? Okay, yeah.
Mayor, I have a question. I wanted to show you, I wanted the engineer.
Do we want to bring these over in front of the
Yeah.
camera?
I know.
So let's hold this up so people can see.
So this area right here where we have this overhang, is there gonna be any kind of fencing or any security for people to, be prevented from falling over? or doing any
There
skating or any-
wouldn't be required by code.
It wouldn't be.
It would be similar to what is already in place, just down. In other words, we're coming off a line of sight off the corner
Okay,
right here with the Sam Patch docks. So
so there's no.
there would be, essentially no change in terms of the way you would access it further
So it's
down
like
the
what's
path.
across.
Yeah, it would look quite similar.
And then how far down does this come from this edge? Would you say if you, yeah,
Probably.
so about
it's
where, so I can
talking
kind of. visualize.
Maybe another 8 feet or so from 8 to 10 feet from the edge of your existing pavement.
No, I mean, this additional
Oh.
dock space, where do we?
John, can you come in front of the camera so we can pick you up? I'm sorry, it's awkward.
Conceptually, it would be, provide a little bit more room kind of east of that tree. And then so on our side of the tree.
Right.
And then we had a concept of, because we see a lot of people fishing here, we created a little fishing hole. And then that dock structure then would start at.
So, back down, we talked about. How, down here, down here. That's good. Then we come to the rocks, and then where would our other dock space start? No, this lady down there, okay, on the other side, okay. And then how far down would the dock go?
We have a break before that next bulkhead, so probably 80 feet or so, 80 to 100 feet.
And the lighthouse,
That's the like,
that's like. And then this docking would look like that docking right there.
material wise, we would probably propose a natural wood dock.
That's what's on the conceptual design you're seeing,
Thank you, Steph.
the natural.
Got it.
I'd like, if you could just talk loud.
Sorry, my question is, as I understand it, the new structure is, there's gonna be a break between the existing structure and the new structure, and then a break again between the new structure and one that's there. Why would you not just make it continuous?
One budget, based on what we heard.
Sorry.
And you really talk about
Yeah,
train going, but
number one was budget. We are trying to work within the parameters of what the village wanted to apply for. Two, we had kind of like a learning garden at the end of the dock, which we would do kind of shoreline plantings, kind of an educational opportunity. To kind of highlight other things that are, considered amenities along.
The reason why I'm asking is that one of the reasons I think why this is a great idea is because it would prevent all the ducks and geese from coming up here and fouling. But if we create like avenues for them to climb up here, people are gonna continue to feed them, they're gonna continue to come up here and foul. So if there's a way that we can, basically we want the ducks and the geese to just move on down the road to a place where it's not,
Well, it's a safer place for them, frankly, too.
yeah.
You know, this is, so what we're seeing here is, it actually would start pretty much here would be this, it's a cool design where you're stepping down rocks, people could fish or, whatever they want to do, would have a little more access. But if it's here, my concern is, again, this is a very high density usage area. And I love the idea, but maybe further down the canal, so people want to interact with ducks and give them a little duck food. They're just a little further down because especially if, our Cornhill navigation friends are going to be implementing, accessible access to their boat, that may, change a little bit of the usage in this area. And I think to have the ducks. just
Yeah, I mean, I'm
move
not
around,
anti
have
it,
duck
I
down a
just
little
don't
bit.
want their poop around where I like.
You don't want them
beer
on them,
and
yeah.
eat, right?
Yeah.
Mayor, I
Yeah.
also second that idea of moving that area down a little bit because having an area where people are fishing, where we're also trying to come in and dock is not, really could be problematic if we're going through fishing.
Yeah,
lines
there's
and-
fishing lines and
following
you've got
up
to
on
trying to
people.
get a boat in.
So if we can think about, us coming in and out of this area.
Okay, thank you
well.
for that. That's a really good. point, too. So,
Move the fishing down the road.
yeah, the fish and the ducks, yeah, Peter, yeah.
Peter Brzee, I live on Main Street. Can you do this for $300,000?
It's a
I
matching
didn't think
grant.
so.
It's a matching grant.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we,
okay.
that's why we're talking to you.
So matching grant means that the village residents would be, taxed with another $300,000.
We wouldn't be taxed. It would just come out of our
Our budget,
tax base. It would be in our budget.
So you've
And we
already
have
budgeted.
reserved.
How else would you
Hang
get
on
it?
one second. I'm gonna just finish my thought, please. Thank you. So, we've set up reserves for infrastructure and for things like this, and we're repurposing our reserves as well. That have not been able to access for decades, literally, some of them. So it is an opportunity. Do we have to go up to 600,000? No. We could go up anywhere up to that, depending on what this would look like, what the design would look like.
Or
So
you could go over it too, but it would have to come out of.
it would come out of a
residents,
reserve. It probably would come out of a reserve.
basically. Residents.
Yeah, well, of course,
Yeah.
this is a project for our community. It is a capital improvement project for our community. So this is the opportunity where we all have our input. So,
I
Yeah.
have a question about where your grant is coming from. Is it coming from the
name
same?
please for the record.
I'm Peggy Brzee,
Thanks.
81 South
We
Main
should have been
Street,
doing names.
Pittsburgh, New York, 14534.
Okay.
I got it.
Southwest corner.
Okay.
Okay.
Um,
Operator standing by.
I'd be interested in where your grant is coming from for the sand patch. And do you know which pocket of money it's coming from? Is it coming from a state grant or?
No, we have a grant from a private foundation to work on
Wonderful.
making both of our vessels accessible and trying to make sure that everybody has access to our
That's
waterways.
wonderful. It's good to know.
So one of the biggest challenges is funding, and we've got some groundwork that we've done here. The mayor and I had a conversation with these two gentlemen about where do we start, what might we be able to do, what's the biggest challenges that we want to solve for, and then how far do we want to take it? And if you do it in stages, maybe it's a grant now, maybe we apply for a grant later, making sure that as we kind of move possibly from here down, makes more sense than trying to do something here and something over there, right? So just a couple things on my mind. We got a really bad crosswalk behind us. Makes no sense. Obviously,
It ends up in a curb.
right, the ducks here don't make a ton of sense, especially with food still somehow making its way in and out of businesses to feed them. Like it's still enjoy eating them. But
We have an accessibility opportunity to, as we potentially build moving this way, how can we incorporate the accessibility onto the sand path? What might we do with the current location of the ticket booth? I think there's consideration of what's the optimal placement as we do something with the crosswalk and make that area safer in general. So the idea, I think, is within a $300,000 grant, the accessibility grant, and then the village, how much could we do that I think many of us all agree on, and then work with consultants to conceptualize that. And some of the things like the fishing hole, hunt, right? I mean, we don't have to define where it goes. We just move it on down.
Yeah, we might know we want it, but it might not be at this point.
It's
Right.
also
Yeah.
schematic,
Correct.
this is all schematic.
Yep.
It's conceptual design that was put in for the purposes of getting the grant to stabilize and repair this and hopefully expand it in a positive way. Yeah. Emily?
Yeah,
Emily?
Emily Diaz, 81 South Street. Is there an expiration date on when we have to utilize this fund?
Generally there is, we're in touch with, when you get a grant, it goes into the grant dormitory. So it's sort of like a holding house, for New York, for all grants, for anybody in New York State. So, they're given through New York State. So right now it's in the dormitory, it's earmarked funding for us. And we sort of cycle back and let them know where we are. They wanted to know where we are, and this is now where we are. So we'll report back to them that, we're moving forward, past the conceptual design and working with you.
Do you feel like as long as the intent is there and the effort is shown, they'll continue to hold it in the dormitory until we can make shared like decisions that we can? all
Well, they
agree
do
to?
want you to take action. I mean, that's the whole point of the grant.
Yeah.
They do, because this is a positive thing, So, I wouldn't say it's kind of an in perpetuity
Sure.
thing.
It's not a
Yeah.
forever, but
Yeah. Oh, yeah, Lily.
Coming through.
Okay.
There's no more.
Sorry.
Not that serious. Any more? Stop.
And that's
That it?
why we need a wider
That it?
canal path.
Two strollers wide. Yeah, right, at least two. Exactly. In any case, my
possibly why
comment,
we don't need to fight.
excuse me 1 second, we have a trustee speaking, please. Thank you. To clarify, I would like it to be understood that when we say conceptual, when the board says conceptual, we mean just that. There is absolutely wide open right now, your input, what you would like to see, what you feel is important. Maybe if you have an idea that we haven't even thought of, and we're all very open and receptive to receiving those ideas. So just to know there really is nothing hard and fast right now. Conceptual means that. So I'm looking forward to getting input from all of them. Yeah, I think we all are. That's why we're here. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, hi,
Yeah,
Abby McCray, 25 Washington Avenue. I think this is a fantastic plan and idea. This is at the heart of the village and one of the most heavily used parts of the village. And so making it safer, wider, better.
Great. All righty. Any other? Yeah.
John,
Hi, John.
62 State Street. Will, the Canal Corp or SHPO have any approval over what we want to do down here?
100%. Yep, that's how it works.
Yeah, the blue line, which is basically the North Canal Corp property, kind of runs almost like through some of the lots here. So anything you do from that line forward goes in front of the
And everything goes in front of SHPO anyway, so, yeah.
As well as other village boards with all WRP approval and other.
There's a process.
That has to
There's a
happen.
process, but you start with your community and start to develop really where we want to go with this, so. Any other comments or thoughts on? Yeah, sure.
So Carl Fleischman, 41 Monroe. I'm looking at this as a geologist. I'm wondering if there's been any hydrodynamic studies or any soil stability studies that would explain why the bulkhead is collapsing, first of all. And second of all, who would own the responsibility of that? Because that looking at the aerial image there, it doesn't make sense to me.
I think the little bit that I know that from speaking with NAMCOR is that anything that the village touches or disturbs or takes, then we are responsible for it. They are no longer. We are under a lease. That's true, but they have
we would be responsible if it was to collapse or anything would happen. So I think the village wants to be very cognizant of anything that we do. I would think so that we don't take ownership of something in perpetuity that we cannot.
Well, there's always that. I
Yeah,
mean, we
forgive
did,
me, but I'm actually asking you a different question. I'm asking,
Okay.
not who owns the problem, but why is there a problem to begin with? Because
Okay.
the setting of that on a slow moving canal and collapsing the way it is odd.
Might it be more, an issue for the, a question for
for the Canal Corp,
Canal,
Canal
don't
Corp
they have,
engineer.
I know, but
Yeah.
isn't there a separate branch that deals with the
The Canal Corporation engineers, it's the
Underneath.
western region.
Got it.
Yeah, they're the
Yeah.
ones that came out earlier this summer again to stabilize the embankment. And
find out why that's happening, whether it's from
yeah,
boats passing by or reasons.
Yeah.
Okay.
So as an owner of an old house, I hate to spend a penny unless I understand exactly what's the root cause behind it.
Yes.
And I would
this
have
happened again.
stability questions there. And so I guess my suggestion would be a rudimentary engineering analysis to go a long way.
the Canal Corp engineers actually would be involved in, it, to be honest with you, because while we sort of, are permitted for the path, the canal path, actually, that's their embankment. The sides of the canal going up, that's theirs. That is theirs. Yeah, so,
Wonderful. They need to
yeah,
work.
and, yeah,
Yeah, so the stabilization you see here, they paid for that, we didn't.
Yeah.
And so what trustee Lampier was saying, is we just want to make really sure that doesn't change with anything we might be doing here.
Understood.
yeah, and frankly, the Canal Corp wouldn't be signing off on anything unless it was absolutely stabilizing, Yeah, it's a good question, because obviously this problem has been in existence for many years. And I think what actually, and maybe somebody would remember this, when they did the build out further down in front of Aladdin's. That actually probably stabilized a big portion of that embankment at that end as well. Because of the way Canal Corp agreed to have that engineered.
And so I would assume we would, like, this is not this will improve the access for bikers and walkers, but also part of the reason I'm doing this is to help shore up. the
Oh,
shore.
it's safety, 100%. Yeah, that's actually what prompted the grant, because I can tell you the way it was initiated. I was walking here with the executive director of Canal Corporation, my first month in office. And it was when the bridge opened, we did the ribbon cutting. I walked down here with him and I said, we do have a little bit of an erosion problem here. I'm not sure if you're very aware of it. Giant chunk of asphalt rolled right off the canal. And he's like, yeah, you do. So, it's really on their radar, and they know that this is something that we really want to do as a community, so.
One of the,
Yeah, go ahead.
China, one of the other comments, we brought up the area in front of Aladdin's a little bit to the right, and definitely shored up the embankment. It also has a slightly more, I think, sterile feel to how we might want to have
More
continuity,
concrete,
right, and bring this forward, whether or not it's docking, or if we do something more solid with the bollards, as you see, the beautiful bollards that are out, right, and sort of incorporate the idea of boaters coming up to docking. So creating that environment, I think, is critical to that next step, and getting the input. What might we want to see different than what we have here, especially as we remove the fishing pole element. The other thing, just talking about accessibility, is the idea of what type of apparatus could we best incorporate in a way that doesn't create a delineation of space. Does that involve a ramping down into the sand patch? Is it something from the higher level? Is it something that's temporary that maybe comes out and up, right? So I think there's a sort of an open-endedness to working with those in the accessibility and engineering side of it with the consultants, where we can try to do all this, together. But creating an environment that's not just let's fix the embankment with cement, but rather a much more engaging continuity of what we have here moving down.
Great, thank you. Yeah. Oh, does New
I'll come up.
Baby
I'll come up.
has a question?
All right, so David Wilkes, 19 East Jefferson Road, Pittsburgh, New York, 14534. I think as we've all seen right now, tons of baby carriages going through. Babies right now, there is importance for doing something here. It's not really that safe. I bring my son here all the time, my older son. He's always so close to falling into the canal. Now that I have two, I don't know how I'm supposed to wrangle everybody. So I think I get it. It is going to cost money. I'm happy that we have the grant. At least that way we get something, but it's important. If it's something that can be permanent, something that can be additive, something that can add to safety, I think it's important for us as villagers. It's better money spent than many of the other kind of fluff projects and stuff like that. So as long as we can get something permanent, something where we get the input from the experts and we get the input from the residents, I'm all for it.
Thank
So-
you. Thank you, James.
For Charles.
That's
Oh,
Charles.
Carl, sorry. James is
James is
the
that
older
cool. I have
brother.
to- I have to go get James.
Go ahead, James. Okay, well, thank you for your input too. Okay, that's right. Charles Oliver, of course. Okay, any other thoughts or comments on this? We just kind of wanted to give everybody a heads up of, you know, what we're looking at. And we're gonna be reaching out again in the future. Of course, the weather's changing a bit, so we'll probably be doing some indoor charrettes, you know, at Village Hall, maybe, you know, a Saturday morning kind of coffee conversation thing, where we can really kind of, you know, have maybe some focus groups about what this would look like, you know, so, yeah.
So we've got a lot of space here that the grant applies to, but we're really talking about this area right here. Is there anybody here that thinks rather than focusing on this area, the crosswalk, the accessibility, and the safety along this channel, that we should instead pick up and go somewhere else and think about it elsewhere? Or just, can we all focus on this and see how far our dollars go?
Here. I would say.
Everybody's on board with you.
Yeah, and I will,
think this is the best
yeah,
spot as
but,
well.
but just so we're really clear, because grants have very specific parameters. So when we applied, you'll see the little dotted area here. We can't go outside that anyway. Okay, so we kind of have to stay within our little boundaries of what the state has given us the money for. You know, so, but I think this is sort of the higher profile, higher density area, a lot of safety issues, a lot of traffic. I'm in agreement as well with the input.
Is there a proposed timeline for this?
Let's get going. Let's get going. There's a lot of moving parts with this, you know, because there's, understand too, the village doesn't own any of this land. We don't own anything. Now. So we always depend on the kindness of our neighbors who own the property. We have the Collins family here as well. So it's owned by Canal Corporation, and then all the rest is sort of private owners. And it's kind of hodgepodgey because this is an old historic area, so things aren't super delineated. But we're excited to work with everybody, the property owners, Canal Corporation, and the residents. So
Have you already run this by the property owners?
yeah, yeah. You know, because I meet with a lot of them regularly, you know, just periodically, and they're all very much aware of this. They were very much aware of the grant. A number of them also, you know, put in letters of support for the grant.
It seems like it would enhance their businesses.
Yeah, I think so too. And I also just want to say one more thing too. We have an opportunity, if we're working, let's say we're focusing on this area, to provide electric and water for boats, for boaters. And that's a big deal to provide those amenities for boaters coming into our community. Because boaters like to come in and spend money. You get, yeah, you get the tax. Yeah,
Question regarding the timing, I mean, I'd like to hear from you and from the board, like, you know, what are you thinking in your minds about the timing? Is it like, okay, we can get going on this next year, or we're gonna push it off till 5 years from now, or?
I'd like to keep going. I mean, I think we've had a meeting. I'm glad there's so much interest. I think we need to keep going. I can get to the next steps.
Purposely got it before the board, to try to accelerate.
That suggested the charrette to get us started because I was getting concerned about the timeline. And I definitely a process and then working workshop. Part of the process is that once we get all the ideas accumulated, then we bring in consultants and they would present to the board different plans. And then at a public hearing, the residents would determine which plan best suits the reflection of the feeling of the community. And that's the process going forward. So I think realistically, based on other projects that we've done, is that we're probably looking to be fair at about a year.
I'd say, to be fair.
Because there's approvals that are outside of our village as well, you know, too, so it goes to other boards, but that's pretty much the process, you know. And really from this point forward now, you know, now we have the funding, it's like every step of the way, you know, it's consistent with keeping out all of you engaged. All of you engaged, yeah. That's really,
I mean, I'm asking because we got the grant in 2022. So I just, understand like what's been happening for the past 2 years.
yeah,
So so just to comment on that. So in 2022 was the last election. And the priority for the board in 2023 and 24 was to put in place a long-term capital plan, right? The long-term capital plan is essentially looking at the next 4 years of what we want to accomplish, what we want to improve, what we want to purchase. This is everything from vehicles to roads to buildings to infrastructure. Recently, we have got all of the reserves established. The excess capital gets to fund those reserves. The long-term capital plan is now in place. We're coming upon a budget season. That budget season is going to be early next year. So it's thinking about those reserves that are now there, knowing the long-term capital plan, which needs to be updated every year. So incorporating in the cost, $300,000 is roughly a little shy of what, 13 or 14% of our total budget. It's approximately 25% of total taxes from residents. So it's a big nut. And so incorporating that in, seeing where we were coming out of COVID, right, was a big deal, seeing where sales tax revenues were. So now that we've got a lot of the infrastructure like South and Wood getting done, we're looking forward to Southern next year. So there's a lot of expenses that were before the village that needed to be done before we had a long-term capital plan. So putting that all together, now coming back to this grant and saying, look, we got reserve capital, exact number, but there's somewhere around what, 400 to 500,000.
that's in the reserves that we're repurposing. That's right now. That was money that had been tied up in reserves, some going back to 1970, that the village boards were never able to access because either the language was too vague or the intention of the reserve could no longer be met in terms of how the money was withdrawn. So we're pleased that we're able to repurpose $450,000.
Roughly
It's a big
300 of that, though, is actually, I think, excess reserves over this year's budget,
Oh,
not
going
just for
forward,
repurpose.
yeah, going forward, yeah.
So the combination of excess reserve or excess funds from this year's budget, as well as prior reserves combined together, repurpose, putting that into reserves, then essentially identifying how do we pull it out and why, and is this the type of project that I think we can all get behind, and then identifying next year's budget how much we can actually pull from the budget, incorporate into it. So for me personally, it would be nice to get some understanding of what the cost might look like. If we go up to the 300, under or over, in order to accomplish the things that we'd like to before we finalize the first draft of the budget. And or update that long-term capital plan at the same time.
That's why we want to keep moving.
You're talking about
we
4
have
to
a
5
budget.
months most to arrive at something more concrete.
So that would be in the 2026 budget.
It would be in the
25, 26.
25.
That's an
26.
overlap, because our fiscal year ends May 30, May 31st. Yes, kind of a weird.
So what you would be looking for is enough of a plan that you could have a budget before your May budget.
Yep. And I think that makes a lot of sense.
It's really helpful. That really
Yeah,
clarifies
so-
it.
So really what's happening is, we're finally seeing some major capital projects coming back into the village that have been deferred, the street projects for June. But, this is the good stuff, I think. This is how we reinvest in our community and build on things to make them better, safer. So, I'm excited about it. This is why, reserves are rainy day funds, and so this is a good thing.
Mayor?
Yeah. Yes.
On the timing issue, I just want to say I love the idea if we can break ground in 2025 because it's the bicentennial of the
I
Erie
know.
Canal. So as we're celebrating 200 years, it's a great time to really work on improving access and
Yeah.
making this area.
That's a really
better for
great
the
point.
community.
I know. because
We
it's
did
fun.
tell them.
Next year, 2025 is the bicentennial for the Erie Canal. It's a big deal all the way through the whole canal system. Also, Buffalo is hosting the World Canal Conference, where countries from all over the world will be here in our region. We're going to be planning some very special things here right in our village. So we'll keep you posted on that too, but that's a really good point. Because it's a big year for everybody next
Yeah.
year.
Big year for New York and for
Did you remember the date?
that it opened.
The date
I,
that
To the Seneca Chief.
Seneca Chief.
Seneca
Oh,
Chief
early
is
September.
September.
September,
9th,
Yeah, I've got it in.
Yeah.
that's when they'll start leaving
Yeah.
Buffalo, come through all the communities.
Yeah, let's just talk about the Seneca Chief for a minute. You want to talk about the Seneca Chief for a minute? You want to
Uh,
fill everybody in on it?
sure, yes,
It's
Seneca.
a hand-built boat.
When the canal opened in 1825, sorry.
Hi, guys.
Patrick Russell Walsh, I'm the executive director for Cornhill Navigation. We run the Sam Patch and also the Rivery downtown. We've been in Pittsburgh now for over 2 decades.
Oh,
This year, I think we've had 12,000 passengers in Pittsburgh,
wow.
just in this location. But Seneca Chief, when the canal opened in 1825 across the whole state, it actually, I think, opened in 1823 in Pittsburgh. But the whole state was opened in 1825, and the Seneca Chief was one of the first boats to travel the whole system. The governor at the time traveled across the state from Buffalo to Albany and then down the Hudson River with a bucket of water from Lake Erie, brought it down to New York Harbor and poured it in there and called it the Wedding of the Waters.
Very
And
famous.
it was a big celebration of this incredible canal that we have that goes right through the heart of our village. And the last few years in Buffalo, the Buffalo Maritime Center has been recreating with teams of hundreds of volunteers. They have rebuilt a replica of the Seneca Chief. And next September, it
By
will be
hand.
here. Yes. Next September, it will be here in Pittsburgh. I believe I think it's September 26th. It's the last Sunday of September. And so
Oh,
we'll
that's
all have a
awesome.
chance to see it right here as it comes through on its way across
Can't
New
see
York
it
State. It will be at the World Canal Conference, which is in September in Buffalo. And halfway through the World Canal Conference, it will leave to start its trek across New York State, where it will end the season in New York City.
In New York City. Yeah, it's recreating really what Clinton did.
Yeah.
You know, what, and so they're gonna even have reenact the wedding. And- yeah, yeah.
Environmentally, we don't love mixing water
Yeah.
versus, but
But the Seneca Chief was not going to stop here in Pittsburgh. And then when I had an opportunity to actually visit the Seneca Chief down in Cornhill Landing and meet with, folks, and they agreed to stop here, at least for part of the day. So, I'm hoping we can have sort of a nice event and have some music and gather our community. And the boat's amazing. So we're
it's a
very
weekend.
excited.
And it's a
Yeah.
Sunday.
On a weekend. Yeah, exactly.
So
Yeah.
it will arrive in Rochester on Saturday and then.
Thanks so much for that, for filling everybody
Of
in.
course.
Okay, just a couple more comments and then we're going to be adjourning. Yeah.
Wonder if the village could post the grant application online so that we can see what was requested, and
Yeah, that was
Who
posted
requested-
actually a while back. We can repost it if
that
you'd
would
like.
be wonderful
Sure,
to see
Yeah,
that.
you bet,
Give,
absolutely.
give us a better idea
Mhm.
of, the reasons why we did this.
Sure.
Would it be possible to have like a project page on the webpage that?
We're
lets
redoing the
keep
website. We're all,
people updated, like
Yes.
have just, a calendar.
yep,
Findings.
Yep.
Involved, documents.
cannot
all in
wait.
One place.
we're in the pipeline. How many more weeks before they can get back to us?
Like 9.
It's so difficult. We've been
Yeah,
queued
there's a
up on
queue.
our website for quite a while, so. But this is a really good idea for sure. Any other, one last comment, anything? We're good? Thanks so much, everybody. I make a motion.
My favorite thing, my favorite thing, like villagers come in and talk to us. The kind of meetings, I get so excited. Like you came to my party.
Thanks for the party, everybody. I make a motion to, I make a motion to adjourn.
I second.
Roll call, please.
Trustee Marshall. Trustee Lightgib. Trustee Lanfair.
Aye.
Trustee Coe.
Aye.
Mayor Plummer.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Wonderful.
Thank
Thanks,
you, everyone.
everybody.
Thank
Really
you.
nice. Thanks so much.
Keep going.